Hell no.
In the early hours,
Yeah, boys, I would have been in that bitch like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
bold attempt to quell the passengers' mounting
This
frustrations,
real life footage,
Carnival
bro.
decided
This
to
is not a
host
joke.
an open bar, offering free beer and wine after the fire. The bar service was to run from afternoon until midnight, but turned out to be a terrible decision. With drinks flowing freely,
I know dudes is pissing over the side of that motherfucker, bro. I know women had it hard, though. What do? Oh no, get the fuck out of here.
Cruise ships carrying thousands of people dump their sewage?
Fuck,
Well, the
no, I
answer
ain't
is
think about
the sea
that.
itself. Treated sewage gets dumped at sea at about 3.5 miles away from the shore,
What
while
the
the untreated
fuck,
sewage should be dumped at about 14 miles away from the shore, or needs to be.
Goddamn. Say, look, I wanted to do this video after my mom got off the cruise, and y'all gonna see why. So Netflix got this series. Matter of fact, I fucked that up. What's up with y'all, man? I appreciate y'all for stopping by and listening to this fucking video. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out when you're done. Or before this shit get deep, go ahead and like and subscribe, man. It's down there. The like button right there. The Twitch link is in the description. Click both of them. Yes, sir. Netflix got a series. I love documentaries, bro. I fucking love documentaries. Netflix got a series. That's how it's called, Trainwreck. The first Trainwreck was Woodstock. The second Trainwreck was Travis Scott Astroworld. The third Trainwreck was the mayor that was caught smoking crack. And the fourth Trainwreck was this one. The Poop Cruise from Hell. And that shit is sick, bro. This shit is sick, bro. So we're going to get into the video, man. The Poop Cruise from Hell Carnival Triumph Fire 2013. I keep hitting the fucking mic. Damn.
everything that could go wrong on a cruise liner. I bet being asked to poop in a biohazard bag falls pretty low on that list. But for more than 3,000 passengers aboard the Carnival Triumph, that became a daily reality. Feces-covered walls, food fights, and a sprawling tent city on the decks earned the cruise its infamous name.
That shit's...
The Poop Cruise from Hell.
That bitch look like it stinks.
The Triumph,
without the poop though.
billed as the pride of the Carnival group, is the length of 3 football fields. Boasts 13 decks with 4 swimming pools, 7 whirlpools, and a massive casino floor. On board Carnival's fun ship, expectations were high.
They fucked it all
Sadly,
up, bro.
this ill-fated trip would make memories for very different reasons. The Triumph set sail from Galveston, Texas for the Gulf of Mexico on Thursday, February 7th, 2013 for what was thought to be a 4-day cruise.
It ain't even a cruise,
In 2013
but the Gulf of Mexico right there, bro.
Texas for the Gulf of Mexico.
Them bitches going from here to here. Got caught all up in here. Fuck around, drifted over there. I'm lying. I don't know if they drifted over there because Florida right here. This is Florida. I don't know. They went to Alabama. Bama closed this way. Bama probably over here somewhere. Yeah, Bama probably over here.
Go on Thursday, February 7th, 2013
tripping,
for what was thought to be a 4-day cruise. Initially, it was all plain sailing, with late-night parties, onboard entertainment, great weather, and mouth-watering buffets for the guests. The highlight of the cruise was set to be a stop in Cozumel, Mexico. Here, passengers could disembark, frolic in azure waters, shop to their heart's delight, and return for a night of festive onboard activities. In reality, after departing Cozumel for the return trip to Galveston, the cruise took a turn for the worse.
Hell no.
In the early hours,
yeah, boys, I would have been in that bitch like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Nigga, you here. Alpha team. Alpha team. Alpha team. That's not good. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what nobody's. That's not good news, bro. That's not good news. I would have started scavenging shit at that moment. I would have started hitting the bar, grabbing burgers, getting all type of drinks, all type of... Nah. I would have had to stack up on the burgers, though, okay? And the sandwiches. I definitely would have had to stack up on the sandwiches,
February
man.
10th, a fire alarm echoed through the ship, with the Alpha Team call booming over the PA system shortly after 5:28 a.m.
Oh, nigga, and
the Alpha Team announcement, the code used for a fire emergency aboard Carnival vessels, left many holidaymakers panicked. Guests on the first and second decks opened their doors to find smoke-filled hallways. Chaos broke out, with passengers scrambling for life jackets and frantically searching for friends and loved ones. On the top
That shit
deck,
would've been so scary,
black smoke
bro.
was billowing
I ain't gonna lie. Being real, my nigga, I would have been scared as fuck looking at this shit. At nighttime, I would have been super scared, bro.
from the smokestack.
This shit's on fire,
The Alpha Team
man.
alert led to panic among passengers, with some heading to evacuation stations once they heard no further information or instructions. While the announcements called for calm, guests were left in the dark about the extent of the fire.
Folks, there's no need to be at the muster station. We do ask at this time that you do proceed back to your staterooms, back to your cabins. As I say, there is a situation in the engine control room, in the engine room, but it is under control. So we do ask
This shit
that
be
you
live,
please be
bruh.
at this time. There's no need to be waiting in the muster stations. Thank you.
Soon after the initial announcement, the ship's lights flickered before it lost all power except for the emergency lights. The blaze
That bitch on fire, bro. They burning that motherfucker up. What they was doing
which
back
was
there?
contained in the engine room through an
That bitch chalk, man.
automatic fire suppression system was reportedly quelled by 6:08 a.m. Unfortunately, the fire had knocked out most of the ship's power and disabled the propulsion system,
That bitch is
leaving
just
the
floating,
3,143 passengers and close to 1,100 staff stranded in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh,
But
4,100,
there was a plan.
4,200 fuckers.
Two tugboats set course for the stricken vessel to tow it to the nearest port of Progreso, Mexico.
That's not that far. That's
Passengers
right there.
breathed a sigh of relief and started taking off their life vests.
And them fucking
Docking by
tugboats
Tuesday,
be
they were
strong,
told.
bro. Them
Little
bitches
did they
really
know,
be turning them bitches
another
around.
4 days would pass before anyone set foot on land again.
It's
By
outside
mid-morning on
with it.
Sunday, passengers realized it wasn't just the propulsion system that died. The air conditioning, running water, elevators, and, worst of all, the septic system had also failed.
Yo, boys, I was telling my brother this shit the other day. I was telling my brother and his girl this shit. The fact that motherfuckers have the opportunity to wash their ass, keep things clean, you know, wash their clothes when they have electricity. You feel me? You get what I'm saying? Motherfuckers don't wash their ass and they have electricity and running water and have a chance for a good life. These motherfuckers ain't got no bathroom no more. Ain't got no running water no more. So I know for sure it's some people in there that stink, bro. Like just regular body hygiene, the way they take care of shit, bro.
That's when the cruise director delivered a message
Oh, that bitch
left
funky as fuck.
passengers horrified.
We're going to deliver
And
some
it's
red
hot.
bags to your cabins, to the bathrooms if you can. If you need to do a number two, you need to poop, please do it in the red bag and drop it off in the bins, in the corridors. And if you need to do a number one, that's a wee.
That's
please
a
do
wee.
it in the shower.
If you need to do a number one, that's a wee.
Updated info.
This announcement came when toilets were already clogged due to lack of flushing facilities
Piss
in
and
the
shit
private
flooding the
cabins
boat.
and public restrooms. The now infamous red poop bags were just too much to bear for many
This is
passengers.
human shit.
People were using
This
the
is not
restroom in
dog
little red
bags.
plastic bags
This is
and
not
throwing them out
dog
to the
shit.
hallway.
We were in shock. We were like, I'm not using a red bag.
The thing is you just don't eat.
The Triumph
Yeah,
stabilizers
facts,
also
facts,
took a hit
facts.
from the fire,
Just
causing
drink.
the vessel to list heavily.
Hell yeah,
Passengers
just go on a
reported
water
clutching
diet.
walls to keep
Shit,
their
niggas
balance.
did water diets for
But
a week.
worst of all, toilets
that bitch for 3
overflowed and
days.
spilled into halls, seeping through walls to floors each time the ship tilted with the wind. Before long, images emerged of sewage-sodden carpets, bins lined with red bags, and in some cases, erupting toilets. Depending on where the drains in the bathroom were, water and fecal matter came back up,
Shit.
pooling in there and overflowing into the
Nigga
cabins.
walking in that bitch with their motherfucking
With
slippers
temperatures
on, no
soaring and the
socks.
foul stench of human waste permeating the cabin decks, many guests dragged their mattresses to outside decks to escape the odors and sweltering heat.
Okay,
The
bitch.
news outlets were quick to react, sending helicopters out to the crippled ship. Soon, images of what would become known as Tent City flooded news channels as passengers started using bed sheets, towels, and rope to construct
Shit,
makeshift
man.
accommodations on the tanning deck. In a bold attempt to quell the passengers' mounting
This is real
frustrations,
life footage,
Carnival
bro.
decided
This is
to
not a
host an
joke.
open bar, offering free beer and wine after the fire. The
Oh,
bar service was to
hell
run from
no.
afternoon until midnight, but turned out to be a terrible decision.
Niggas
With drinks
pissing
flowing
everywhere.
freely, several passengers became obnoxious and intoxicated, lobbing objects into the water and messing up the restrooms. By Tuesday
Niggas is
morning,
drunk.
when both
What the
tugboats finally
fuck?
arrived, the vessel
I know dudes is pissing over the side of that motherfucker, bro. I
had
know
drifted
women
more
had
than
it
90
hard
miles
though.
north, meaning that
They had it
Progresso
tough
was no
as
longer the
hell.
closest port. The decision was made to tow the 102,000-ton behemoth to Mobile, Alabama, adding another 2 days to their journey. On the bright side, returning to the U.S. would ease re-entry for the 900 passengers traveling without passports. However, the added delay risked one passenger's life. Rachel Alderet, urgently requiring dialysis, became the
Oh,
first of only 2
no.
people evacuated by the Coast Guard.
Dang, yo, she had to get the fuck out of there, bro. They was gonna get him. They was gonna catch a body. Damn. Nigga said, nah, we gotta get her the fuck out of here. Y'all boys gotta stay. This shit here serious. What? I muted it, my fault.
Me to another boat, another ship, send me to Cozumel to do dialysis on Tuesday. It was hard. It was scary. It was, oh my God. You know, it was just scary the way they put me down. They put me in a stair rope, and the Coast Guard said that don't worry about it, that they would catch me, and you know, they were going to hold me back, and they did. And then they transferred me to the bigger boat, and you know.
That's
The following
fucking
day,
crazy,
a second
bro.
passenger was taken off the ship because of a pre-existing
Shit.
medical condition. Both were moved to other Carnival ships that had diverted their courses to assist with the rescue mission. Passengers commended the crew for
Them boys
doing
got
everything
smart,
they could
bro.
to
Them
meet the
start
travelers'
spilling out
needs, but that
spilling
the
out weak
toilet
body.
situation had
With their
been
body, and they were
trying
doing
at
this
best.
shit.
Now that is the problem
Spilling
with the
out
boat,
help.
is that the toilets have not worked, and they ended up having to issue us these we call them the red bags, and that is what's been used almost exclusively for the first 2 days after the fire.
Conditions on board rapidly deteriorated during that time, and food was reportedly running out. Dwindling food supplies forced passengers to queue for hours for cold onion and cucumber sandwiches. One passenger described scenes reminiscent of the Hunger Games as fights
Soggy
erupted
ass.
over dwindling
Ooh.
provisions.
And they would gripe at you, or other people would practically cuss you out because you would have multiples, but you're trying to get for your whole cabin, so everybody wasn't standing in line.
3 other Carnival liners, Elation, Conquest, and Legend, performed impressive maneuvers to drop off provisions and supplies to
What
the
the
weary
hell?
passengers. Transfers were hampered by winds
Boy,
as high
these
as
boys
35
really
knots
gotta dry
and a sea
this
swell
bitch.
of up to 6 feet. The tugboats, clearly lacking the muscle to pull a ship of Triumph's size adequately, only managed a leisurely pace of about 5 miles per hour. Naturally, it didn't help that the tow line snapped several times during the process. Major news networks reported on
Bro, them
Triumph's
niggas was
arduous journey to
stuck,
Mobile
bro.
with around-the-clock coverage of the so-called floating petri dish. On Wednesday, February 13th, Tent City had to be dismantled to make way for an incoming chopper delivering much-needed supplies and equipment. By Thursday, the mood aboard seemed to get a little lighter after the food drop and the arrival of a generator that promised the luxury of hot meals. By this time, sanitary facilities were restored to parts of the ship, and passengers had access to power outlets to charge their cell phones.
Jeez.
For many passengers,
That is
staying in contact with loved
insane,
ones
bro.
had been a battle.
We've spent the past 2 days, about 4 to 5 hours a day, charging our phone so we can
Passenger
at least have the
rooms flood when
opportunity
we
to talk.
shower.
The only time we get cell reception is if one of the other cruise ships comes close enough to us. So we've all been frantically charging, and we've actually rigged charging stations from ship computers
Help.
to try to I'm sure we're going to blow up the ship doing it.
In Mobile, worried
no.
family and friends gathered at the port, anxiously awaiting the first glimpses of the Triumph
Bro,
and
I'd
their
be so
loved ones.
sick waiting.
It was terrible. She said, Mama, when everybody get off this bus, everyone's probably going to have a little psychological help.
The Triumph was the largest cruise ship ever to dock at Mobile, and its final leg into the port required more than 6 grueling hours of careful nighttime maneuvering as 4 tugboats ushered it up a 30-mile ship channel across the shallow bay. The passengers finally started disembarking at about 10 p.m. on Thursday.
Kissing the ground, that's stupid
Carnival
ass.
CEO Gary Cahill was among the many waiting at the port. He thanked the crew on board the vessel for their tireless efforts to keep the passengers comfortable and apologized to everyone for the situation.
And I'd like to reiterate
Ain't
the apology I made earlier.
Did, bro.
I know the conditions on board were very poor. I know it was very difficult. And I want to apologize again for subjecting our guests to that. We pride ourselves in
What else was
providing
y'all
our
gonna
guests
do
with a
though?
great vacation.
Nah, my nigga, what else was you gonna do? I'm saying, you can't. I mean, I know obviously I know you the fucking head honcho, duh. But I'm saying, like, it's nothing. What the fuck? What could you do? What other option did you have but to do the shit you did? Please, somebody in the comments, let me know what the fuck a better idea was other than what they did. Cause I mean, shit, bro. You had to take a piss. You had to piss in the shower. Then if you had to take a shit, you eating. Somebody gotta go to the bathroom. You can't just have shit flying everywhere. So you gotta put them in bags. You gotta accommodate the people. So you started open bar, giving food as much as you can without having heat and, you know what I'm saying, cooking up shit. Man, bro, there's nothing you could have did, my nigga. I get it though. Somebody gotta take the rap.
But there was still more trouble in store for the passengers.
Easier said than done though. I'm not saying it like, you know,
fuck
fuck 'em.
line added a protection clause. If the performance of the proposed voyage is hindered or prevented by breakdown of the vessel, Carnival may cancel the proposed voyage without liability to refund passage money or fares paid in advance. Despite this, refund past vessel, the performance small print, the cool in store for the passengers.
Oh, they fucked them over.
In the Carnival ticket small print, the cruise line added a protection clause. If the performance of the proposed voyage is hindered or prevented by breakdown of the vessel, Carnival may cancel the proposed voyage without liability to refund passage money or fares paid in advance. Despite this, each passenger received $500, a free flight home, a full refund for their trip, and reimbursed most expenses.
Oh shit, them nigga got $500. They got $500. The refund of the trip back. And they got an all paid expense flight.
Eve to me is
shit. I mean, that motherfucker don't sound too bad to me though, bro. I'm saying. That bit don't sound too bad,
on
bro.
board, as well as a full credit for another cruise.
Oh,
this didn't stop
them niggas ain't
passengers
trying
from
to
filing a slew of
this
lawsuits
shit.
within hours of reaching land.
Boy,
However, their chances
cruise,
of
boy.
claiming compensation were slim to none unless they suffered a personal injury. Carnival ended up awarding $118,500 in damages to 27 passengers for doctors and hospital costs related to the ill-fated cruise. But the ship's woes continued. While it was moored for repairs in Mobile, the vessel broke free, drifting across the Mobile River and colliding with a tethered dredge.
Get the fuck
A responding
outta
towboat
here.
became pinned between the cruise ship and the dredge. Tragically, one person died and another was injured. As for the fire's cause, Carnival asserted that a fuel leak in the engine room
This
sparked
ship
the
got a
blaze,
mind of its
but many
own,
feel that
nigga.
negligence was the real cause of the blaze.
Nah,
in just
bro,
2 years,
blow that
the
bitch
group
up,
reported
gang.
9
How do you get
incidents
rid of
involving
ships?
fuel leaks linked to flexible fuel lines. In January 2013, Carnival gave ships 2 months to install spray shields for all diesel engines using flexible lines. However, the Triumph failed to shield a hose that wound up causing the infamous Hoop Cruise in February. It was found that the fuel hose that caused the fire was located underneath the deck plates, which they believed would be sufficient to provide a shield. Of course, it turned out not to be sufficient, as the engine room fire broke out as a direct result of the unshielded fuel line.
I know that bitch
In
was
addition
hot as
to
fuck in
fixing
there.
the fire damage, Carnival added new technical features to prevent a sequel. They
Yeah,
spent
bro.
$115 million on cleaning, repairing, and upgrading the ship before it resumed service 4 months later. In 2019, after another $200 million overhaul, the ship was renamed Sunrise and continues to offer passengers everything you could ever need on a cruising holiday. Fingers crossed, red biohazard bags and onboard activities like Survivor or Hunger Games are not on the list of fun activities offered. Watch this episode next if you found this video interesting.
Nah, yeah, hold on. How do they get rid of, oh no, get the fuck out of here.
Have you ever wondered where these massive cruise ships carrying thousands of people dump their sewage?
Well,
the
no, I
answer
ain't
is
think about
the sea
that.
itself. Treated sewage gets dumped at sea at about 3.5 miles away from the shore,
What
while
the
the untreated
fuck,
sewage should
bruh?
be dumped at about 14 miles away from the shore, or needs to be offloaded at ports when possible. Have you ever wondered where these massive cruise ships carrying thousands of people dump their sewage? Well, the answer is the sea itself.
That's a bad
Treated
motherfucking
sewage
cruise.
gets dumped
That's a
at
bad
sea at
bitch.
about 3.5
I know that
miles
bitch
away from the
stank
shore,
as
while the
fuck.
untreated sewage should be dumped.
Oh man, I know that bitch funky. Ooh,
Cruise ships have giant.
Bro, I just be interested in this type of shit because it's like, bro, who the fuck knows what they do with a ship? Obviously, with buildings, they blow them bitches up. My brother asked us, I think my wife asked us the question, like, what they do with ships? I said, blow them bitches up, bro. He said, nah, they don't blow them bitches up. You about to see what
For
they
these
do.
$300 million cruise ships,
Cruise ships, once
I
symbols
hope
of
this
luxury
shit.
and
I hope
leisure,
this shit.
are
This
marvels
shit
of
do us
engineering
justice.
and architecture. These floating cities transport passengers to exotic
Literally
destinations,
floating cities,
offering
bro.
everything from gourmet dining to water parks on board. However, even these majestic vessels have a lifespan. When maintenance becomes too costly or regulations outpace their design, cruise ships face an unglamorous end, being dismantled for scrap. This process, known as ship recycling, transforms grand vessels into raw materials, salvaged equipment, and repurposed components.
Damn, they just taking them as a
While this may seem a somber fate for ships that once sparkled on the open seas, the recycling industry plays a vital role in the global economy, ensuring that outdated vessels don't clog ports and waterways. Cruise ships are typically retired after 30 to 40 years of service.
That's a
Though
long
economic
ass time,
downturns,
bro.
such as the
40 fucking
COVID-19
years.
pandemic, have hastened this timeline for some. Keeping older ships operational can cost millions in repairs and upgrades to meet modern environmental and safety standards. For ship owners, recycling becomes a practical, albeit bittersweet solution.
Ship owners.
Once the decision is made,
Bro,
valuable
what the
assets are
fuck?
stripped from the vessel. Furniture, kitchen equipment, artwork, and even lifeboats are auctioned or repurposed. Everything salvageable is removed before the ship embarks on its final voyage to a ship-breaking yard. Most decommissioned cruise ships end up in scrap yards in South Asia, particularly in countries
Asia?
like
What the
India,
fuck?
Bangladesh, and Turkey.
For what?
Alung, India is one of the world's largest ship recycling hubs, where beaches have been transformed into expansive dismantling facilities.
Oh man.
Ships are grounded on shore, often using their own propulsion, in a process known as beaching. Once ashore, the
that
real
bitch
work
just
begins.
riding up. What the
Teams
fuck?
of workers dismantle the vessel piece by piece,
Yo.
starting from the top and working down to the hull.
The shit
Workers
was
first
just
dismantle the
riding,
interiors,
bro.
removing facilities.
Y'all see how that
Ships
bitch was
are
just
grounded on shore, often using their own propulsion, in a process known as beaching. Once ashore,
sliding.
the real work begins. Teams of workers dismantle the vessel piece by piece, starting from the top and working down to the hull. Workers first dismantle the interiors, removing insulation, wiring, and non-metallic materials. Recyclable items such as carpets, metals, and plastics are sorted for resale. Using oxyacetylene torches, workers cut the ship into manageable sections, which are then transported to recycling centers for further processing.
What the fuck?
Steel, the most valuable material, can account for up to 90% of a ship's weight. It is melted down and reused in construction projects worldwide. Copper wiring, aluminum, and other metals are also recovered. Older ships often contain asbestos, lead-based paints, and
What
other
type of
toxic
shit is
materials.
this?
While international regulations like the Hong Kong Convention aim to ensure proper disposal, compliance is inconsistent. Some ship-breaking yards have lax safety standards, putting workers and the environment at risk. Ship recycling provides employment for thousands in developing countries, offering a critical income source where opportunities may be scarce.
Okay.
However, the work is dangerous, involving heavy machinery, toxic materials, and the risk of accidents. Efforts have been made
I was
to
thinking
improve
about that
safety
piece
and
falling on that
environmental
motherfucker he
practices,
was welding.
but challenges remain.
I'm like, damn, man. Like,
Recycling ships significantly reduces waste, as nearly 95% of a vessel's materials can be reused. This minimizes the need for mining and producing new materials. Nevertheless, concerns about pollution persist, especially in areas with weak environmental regulations. Famous examples of decommissioned cruise ships include the Carnival Fantasy, once a beloved vessel in the Carnival Cruise Line fleet, dismantled in Turkey in 2020 after 30 years of service.
Yeah.
The Sovereign of the Seas, the world's first mega cruise ship, met its end in Alang in 2021, symbolizing the cruise industry's constant evolution. The SS Norway, formerly SS France, the
Like
legendary ocean
Titanic.
liner, was scrapped in 2008, sparking outrage from ship enthusiasts and environmentalists alike. While dismantling marks the end of a ship's life, its materials find new purposes. Steel may become the framework of a skyscraper.
There's so
Furniture
many
might adorn a
pieces
local
on that
cafe.
shit, bro. It's not, you
In
can't.
this way, cruise ships live on,
They
even
take
as
it
their
all
voyages
off.
at sea come to an end.
There's
For
always gonna be
enthusiasts
shit stuck.
and passengers, the memories created aboard these ships endure. Though turning luxury
There's no way you're just gonna be able to take all that shit off, bro. Cause it's too huge, man. God damn. Bro, that's fucking crazy. Yeah. Poop Cruise is insane. I don't know, bro. That shit's fucked up. I definitely would. I'll probably have a heart attack if I was on that bitch, but I'll probably be tripping out. I'm not going inside. I'm staying outside though for sure. But I definitely would have been fucked up, bro. That shit's scary. Especially at nighttime, when you at night and you already can't see in front of you if you're on a cruise, but you can't see in front of you, bro. Like you can see, but it just look like you stand at a black nothingness. Like you can't judge nothing. So that shit's crazy. I'd rather not, bro. Fuck that. That's just insane. But I'm out of here. Y'all boys have a great day, great night. Whenever y'all watching this, love y'all, baby. Like and subscribe. It's Rooster. Yeah.